And we're back with the show. Once again, this is Gerald Glassford from the Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate you being part of the broadcast here today. Well, I want to make sure everybody out there in our constant pursuit of the latest information and news regarding the world of pop culture gets up to date on everything going on, not only with movies, with video games, and every other facet of pop culture that we can, but also, of course, what you see on the TV. And if you don't know already, May comes around there. That's always a big time for television audiences, and also most importantly, the television networks that actually send out these programs and shows that we love, we don't necessarily like, and somewhere in the middle. Because right now is the time for upfronts. It just happened recently. And basically what the upfronts do is a time when advertisers and networks get together to not only talk about rates for the upcoming fall season, but also as well the time that networks make their final decisions on what shows to pick up and what shows to leave behind. And here to talk with me today about it is our good friends. You know them very well by now. They are regulars on the show. They are so appreciated every time they come on. It is the TV Ratings Guide. You got to check out the TVRatingsGuide.com for the latest TV news, information, reviews, opinions, renew cancel indexes, and all the other great stuff that they have going on there. It's Jessica Boggs, the mainstay of TV. You're now the grizzled veteran of the TV RG. I'm going to tell you that right now. She's here, and also as well, we have one of their main contributors on their comment boards. It is Out of Curiosity. I'm just so glad to have you both here today. I want to thank you so much for joining us. Jessica, Out of Curiosity, just so glad to have you here today.
Thank you.
All right, I want to start off with you. Actually, I'll start off with you since you're new to the program. Out of curiosity, I want to start with you when it comes to the decisions that were made in regards to. Well, let's start off with ABC, since obviously it starts off with as far as alphabetically saying. ABC's made some major decisions on some shows this time around in upfronts, including one that. Well, they didn't want to pick up, and that got picked up by another network, but also as well, one show that was kind of like on the fence rating-wise that got picked up by another television entity.
Oh, are you talking about Last Man Standing?
I'm talking about Last Man Standing, but I'm also talking about Designated Survivor. Both seem to have different trajectories. Both had a chance to stay on the network. Obviously, Last Man Standing got canceled last year, but it has found a new life somewhere else.
Oh, right, yeah. Regarding Designated Survivor, well, to be honest, I kind of sort of expected it. For one reason I really suspected this is because they were they were getting some massively bad ratings on their time slot. They had a lovely time slot, Wednesday, 10 o'clock, and they squandered it. They were getting 0.5. Now the problem is that was like the lowest rated show of its night. So that was it did have good live +7, but the networks don't really factor that value in too much. For them, the C+3 numbers. Now the C+3 means commercials plus 3 days of viewing. And the closest value to that we get is the live numbers we get on the day it's aired. And that's the closest value for us. Unfortunately, they're not so kind. The networks aren't kind enough to give us the actual numbers for some reason. Only the advertisers who get that, and that is what's valuable to ABC. And Designated Survivor did not pull in those good numbers. And yeah, that's why I think ABC canceled it.
Well, I tell you what, when it comes to ratings, I just give everybody a shout out there. When it comes to ratings, when it's a 0.0 to a 1.0, 1.1, even all the way up to maybe even a 1.4, those are shows, depending on the time slot, that are always on the bubble and always going to be on the bubble as far as making a decision whether or not to renew or cancel them, as far as a broadcast network is concerned. When you go to 1.5 to 1.9, you're talking about a little bit better, a little bit of a better opportunity, a little bit better chance, and then it goes up from there as far as ratings are concerned. I will ask Jessica, when it comes to Designated Survivor, they did find a new life, and as far as being picked up by Netflix, obviously the decision was made that by Netflix, which is out there, and I know Rob McCallum and I have discussed this at length, with Netflix just pulling out the pocketbook, pulling out the wallet, just throwing money everywhere. I know that we talked about them at the Cannes Film Festival, trying to go ahead and try and buy independent films from there, but they're also heavily invested in trying to acquire other things, including television shows like Designated Survivor.
I would think I wrote this, and Designated Survivor did prove the notion that profits don't necessarily save a show as far as Netflix is concerned, especially on ABC. And it didn't save Quantico either. And Quantico was another show that got saved last year due to making international sales. And it had the same ratings as Designated Survivor is having this year. And the other thing, I mean, maybe it's a good thing it got saved on Netflix, but I'm guessing the serialized nature of it, there was also behind the scenes problems going on with that show. There was showrunner changes.
And that's never a good sign when that happens. I know the most stable of programs usually have a consistent theme or a consistent line of one showrunner, two showrunners, but not very many changes at the top in direction. And when you have something like that for a show that hasn't been on that long, yeah, I can definitely see the problems there. What were some of the yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. I can hear you. Yes. Now I can hear. Well, I can hear the scratching on there. Can you? Are you okay? Can you? Oh, now I can't hear you at all. Okay. And then when you're if you're not speaking me directly, I apologize for asking this in advance, but you may want to mute because you're bouncing off each other on volume as well, just to let you know.
Yeah. It must be my Beats for some apparent reason. I'll probably need to go get it cleaned.
Oh, there you go. Something like that. Or, well, there's a joke in there somewhere in regards to an Apple joke, but we won't go there. Yes, one of Apple's one of Apple's finer purchases, I should say. Out of curiosity, I just want to make sure and ask you: are there some other shows that were on ABC that you were surprised that were either kept on or taken off in regards to some of the decisions that were made as far as the upfronts are concerned?
I'm not sure about pickups and cancellations, but I was surprised about the pilots they picked up this season. So a lot of the pilots, especially the comedy ones, they were magnificent. They had so many good comedy pilots this season. They had a show starring Alison Hannigan and Jennifer Goodwin, but they didn't pick up any of them, and I was so shocked and disappointed. And the only comedies they ordered were just 2-3 new comedies, none of which have garnered my interest, unfortunately. Maybe my opinion will change by the time September comes, but for now, I really am not interested in any of them.
Fair enough. And I noticed that seems to be a theme going around as far as with pretty much all the broadcast networks, as far as very few of these pickups seem to hold any interest. I know ABC had a chance, and I know you said that as well, Jessica, that they didn't pick up as many comedies as usual, but They are heading towards more of a dramatic type nature because of the fact that they did pick up a lot of dramas. Is that correct? I can't hear you, Jessica.
Yeah, that is correct in a way, as they're going more towards the success of the revivals, more or less, with the comedies. Where on the other hand, they're chasing after This Is Us's success with A Million Little Things, marketing the emotional aspect. They're also marketing Nathan Fillion's star power with The Rookie.
I noticed that was one of the big trailers that was shown out this week in regards to the upcoming television shows. I know that The Rookie was one of them. One of the other things I want to talk about is obviously CBS, which is in currently a state of flux with the merger with Viacom and obviously where it's headed to as far as that whole synopsis of what getting Viacom getting purchased and whatnot, but that it leaves CBS in kind of a little bit of a quandary there. But on the network front, I still think that far away they have the most solid as far as ratings. I didn't say quality, but I'm saying as far as ratings outlook is concerned. I have some issue with some of their shows, but we won't go there. But I will start off with you out of curiosity in regards to CBS. What were some of the things that you noticed this time around when it came to the upfronts? Whether shows were picked up, whether shows were let go, or which shows, which like you said, were kept around that were really a surprise to you.
Well, for starters, one cancellation which surprised me slightly, not too much, was Scorpion. Now, Scorpion ran for 4 seasons and it had over 80 episodes. That's around the number used for syndication. And CBS thrives on syndication. They sell their shows to international markets. And I kind of expected Scorpion to get maybe at least a fifth or final season because because having over 100 episodes means it's more how do you say profitable for them.
It's
The
also very
buyers
attractive.
will be interested.
Case in point, Elementary it's one of my favorite shows, but I understand the past 3 years it has not performed well ratings wise, and people have a question about why that remains a show that's still on the air. I can tell you one reason why is when in discussing the upfronts at the time recently, the CBS president said in syndication alone, Elementary earned them in 2017 over $80 million. So therein right there lies one good reason why that show stays around. Obviously, they weren't able to market Scorpion in the same fashion. So it seems like there's going to be a quick axe on that type of show as opposed to something that could go ahead and be just syndicated widely even better. So I can totally understand that as well.
Yeah, and regards to Elementary, from what I understand, CBS had a deal with a small network called WGN, and that's where they actually get most of their money. And WGN, they previously had their own original programming slate, but they had to cut everything. From what I understand, because of the deal, they were losing money on it. Elementary was not actually a ratings hit for them, and they kind of got, forgive me for saying this, screwed.
Well, I will say this. Like I said, it does make a ton of money for them, but it's also, I believe, internationally as well. It has, because of Johnny Lee Miller, the lead character, and his British roots. He is actually very popular overseas, and because of that, the show has been marketed well internationally.
I actually didn't know Johnny Lee Miller was so famous. I knew that he was on Dexter.
I mean, I didn't know either. I saw Train Spotting, and I thought that was pretty much it. But that's reading and delving in further. I guess that was the reason why. But Jessica, I will go to you. And in regards to CBS, what were some of the things that stood out to you in their decision making in regards to upfronts?
I was really surprised by Scorpion's cancellation, especially with the syndication sales, but I feel like it was justified because there was no deal.
Okay, and anything else stuck out with you as far as the decisions that they were making that to pick up shows? Like, again, I know this has been out there that everybody has been talking about, that Magnum PI, similar to what has been done previously with other shows of its ilk, MacGyver being one of them, and also as well Murphy Brown gets a new life as well with the original with much of the original cast in place, but Magnum PI with an all new crew in place being in there. So and then also, you know, the cancellation of Kevin Can Wait was, you know, like you said previously, I know that was a little bit out there in social media as well, kind of surprising that that show, which garnered much headlines for a replacement in lead actresses, being cut so soon, was kind of surprising as well. I can't hear you, Jessica. I can hear you banging on it, but I can't hear any voice from it.
Hello?
That's very weak.
Again, I like Designated Survivor. It was, but it was like, it had like 1.0, 1.1, sometimes fractional ratings for the most part. At the same time, there was a cast change, and it negatively affected the long-term prospects for it.
I agree with you on that. And then what are your thoughts on Magnum PI being revived, and also as well Murphy Brown being brought back from seemingly the dead as well, obviously to touch on those current political themes we now have right now?
I'm guessing also especially with Murphy Brown, though, this was a show that originally went on for 10 seasons, and it had a more upscale audience, upscale older audience, with journalism and news, and something that's not covered on as much. I'm guessing it was a pickup to counteract Roseanne's success a little bit, but I don't see it growing as much, premiering to the same kind of numbers as Roseanne, especially with its skew.
Got some background noise there. I will say this, it's in regards to the changes made with Murphy Brown as compared to Roseanne is concerned. I know Roseanne, it's been told by the ABC president that they're going to tone down the political themes for the next season. Whether or not that's a help or a bonus, I'm not sure, because obviously Roseanne had a great bit of success here in its first season back on television screens, but that's neither here nor there. NBC is something I want to talk about right now. But first, once again, it is Jessica Boggs, and Out of Curiosity from the TV Ratings Guide. You got to check out the TVRatingsGuide.com today for the latest news, information on the TV scene, plus reviews, articles, opinions, and also renew cancel indexes, and also original scripts as well, provided by the folks at the TV Ratings Guide. And you got to check out today. Out of curiosity, I want to start with NBC now with you. I want to talk some of the decision making that went on with some of their shows, because it seems to be, in my opinion, feast or famine at NBC. Some of their shows.
I'm sorry, I'm not catching you. I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
NBC, can you hear me?
Yeah, hang on 1 second. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. Sorry. I think I had some internet connection. I think the power went out. Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries, no worries. It's glad to have you back on. Glad to have you back on. All right.
All right. Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, no problem. I was just waiting for you to get a little bit silent. NBC has made some decisions that, for good or bad, have worked out for the station. With them, it's kind of a feast or famine. Some of their shows really hit well with audiences, and some of them just can't even chart. Your opinion on some of the upfront decisions that were made in regards to NBC, and what is their outlook, you think, for at least the short-term future for this upcoming season?
Okay. Well, I don't actually watch a lot of NBC, so I don't have too much to talk about. But one thing really did stand out. I'm sure a lot of people have noticed this. The entire Wednesday is now a Chicago night, and now I'm not sure. One thing that is really going to help them is the, how do you say, the crossovers. Every year they always have either all three of them or one or the other. Like Chicago Med will do one with Chicago Fire. I don't really watch them, so I can't really say. But I think it just streamlined the whole process for them. They don't have to worry about the nights and continuity issues. So that's one good thing for them. And another thing I've noticed is they renewed Blind Spot and the Blacklist, and they're putting them on Friday. And from what I understand, they're basically just syndication fodder, like CBS. They're doing the whole CBS maneuver. And you know what? That's good for them. Let them get the money. But I don't know. I don't watch those shows, so I don't really have much to say about them either. As for the comedies, oh my God. I don't think they did a good job this time. Um, they only put one new comedy through in the fall, and I don't think it's a good fit for the network.
Well, that leads to a bigger question, and I'll ask Jessica this. Do you think that comedies as a whole, because you've indicated now a lot out of curiosity about comedies not being picked up, do you sense that this is a theme that networks are actually maybe leaning a little bit away from comedies unless they are surefire hit with maybe a big star attached or something like that? Do you see a sense of comedies maybe being de-emphasized in this era of television?
I don't necessarily think that there is a emphasis in comedies, as ABC is going through a comedy expansion with their returning on Fridays, and both in the middle of both are syndication draws, or expected to be syndication draws.
Out of curiosity, can I have, when you're not talking as well, just muted real quick? Sorry, because we're getting a little.
I'm sorry. I'll just.
No worries. Happens all the time. Okay, go ahead, Jessica. Sorry.
I don't necessarily think there's a de-emphasis in comedies, as ABC is going through a comedy expansion. Well, however, that may not be the case in all networks. CBS cut 1 hour of comedies for the Magnum PI reboot, especially since their Money Comedy Night is not working. Thursdays on NBC, they're going to continue to be low rated, and Will and Grace is in decline ratings wise, and Superstore can only be solid in once during the fall. Otherwise, their solid nights are going to be on nights where The Voice is located and the All Chicago night. The Voice being unscripted with like one drama attached, or This Is Us attached and a new drama, and Wednesdays being all three of the Chicagos. That's most likely their solid nights, while Friday is just basically the low-rated syndication farm and Dateline.
I just lost you. Still there, Jessica? Okay. Go ahead. Oh, because I can't hear you now. Well, that leads me into the final broadcast network. That's going to be Fox Television. Out of curiosity, I want to ask you this. Fox seems to be something that's always intriguing and always. Oh,
sorry about that. Things got a little bit busy, so I had to shut off my mic for a little bit.
Okay. Well, I just want to hit on mute for a second. I'll ask out of curiosity just real quick. Out of curiosity, just want to go ahead and ask, with Fox Television being something that, well, could be Disney Television pretty much soon, if that goes through, or Comcast, you never know. But when it comes to the Fox Television properties that are out there on their network, they seem, at least on the surface to me, that they're willing to try different things. Some of them hits, some of them misses, but they seem to try to deviate a little bit from the norm. I know that they canceled some popular shows like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which has now found new life on NBC. Also as well, Last Man on Earth and some others. What were some of the things that you noticed recently with the upfronts when it comes to Fox and the moves that they're making, including picking up The Last Man Standing with Tim Allen?
Well, firstly, I think they're trying to sort of reinvent themselves with this new shift into multi-camera comedies. Now, Last Man Standing, that's kind of a big deal for them because Fox owns it. It is a Fox property. And the reason ABC let go of them in the first place was because ABC wasn't making much money. Tim Allen's contract fees and was a big issue for them and ultimately led to the cancellation. They really weren't profiting from it on their network, and that's why Fox stepped in. They realized it's going to make some money for them. It already has 6 seasons, over 100 episodes, so it's going to make a lot of money in syndication. Now, regarding the other new comedies they picked up, they only picked up two new comedies for the fall, and they put them on the slot already. All of their comedies are on the fall. They're trying to rebrand their multi-camera. They're trying to push it out there. They want to bring a lot of awareness to them. And frankly, I'm not sure how this is going to work because they put them on some very bad timings. Like Friday, Last Man Standing and the new comedy Cool Kids are on Fridays, while Rel, the new comedy starring Rel Howery, is on Sundays at 9:30, a slot that hasn't been doing well, which was previously owned by Last Man on Earth, which was also canceled by Fox. I really don't see how they're gonna really pull it off. And on a personal note, I am very disgusted with what Fox has done. They have done some really, they have created a lot of bad press for themselves. They have sort of damaged their reputation by trying to bring back Last Man Standing, a show no one really asked for, but somehow we have it and we have to live with this.
Oh, I don't want to disagree. I don't want to put this in there. I will say this. I know at the time of cancellation, it was actually a lot of people were upset about it. And when I actually posted the article in regards to the actual one of the first outlets that were, that identified that the show is going to be picked up by Fox, it actually garnered the most interest on my site this year. And now we're talking about close to several thousand people actually were interested, were sharing the information, and they were really excited. So which leads me to kind of ask the question. It leads me to ask the question. I think maybe it's politically motivated, because I know the show tends to lean on the Republican avenue, but that's neither here nor there. I know a lot of people were actually that commented on the Pop Culture Cosmos Facebook page that it actually garnered a lot of interest. Like I said, it was the highest yield volume article that I've been able to post this year. and it just really just seemed like there's interest in it, which leads me to believe the question, why didn't they support it enough in the first place when it was on ABC? But that's neither here nor there. Jessica, when it comes to Fox, I want to ask you this. I know the Orville's going to be on another year, and I'm glad to see it coming back for some guilty pleasure reason. I don't know why. I can still watch it. I don't know why, but it's going to be a little bit later in the year. I know that. But your thoughts on the Fox network's outlook when it comes to the upfronts? Do you agree with what Out of Curiosity was saying, or do you have a little bit different take on what Fox was doing or Fox is doing with its programming?
I think they're trying to switch. They're trying to expand comedy, but they're on a Friday night. So, and there is a change with their cancellations of single cam. They're switching to more multicam comedies.
Exactly what Out of Curiosity said. That's good. That's a good synopsis, and that's a good analysis from both of you on that. Were there any surprises? Are there any definitive decisions that you see? I know 911 obviously was a big hit for them this year. LA to Vegas, that was something that was on the bubble for them as far as something that they started this year as well. Was there anything that was out there in regards to television programming that you saw outside of obviously The Last Man Standing, decisions that were made to either kick off or bring in that you feel that you need to talk about when it comes to Fox?
I feel like with the Cool Kids, they brought in, and most of especially their leads with Vicki Lawrence and Martin Muell, and these target an older audience. And Last Man Standing on its final season on ABC had a skew 23% of people watching in the 1849 demographic. So it's watched by an older audience in general. So Fox is really not going after the young crowd as much. In fact, they're aging in a sense.
They're going for an older crowd. Is that what you're saying? They're maybe shying away a little bit from the millennial audience, maybe that they see the millennials out there and younger audiences maybe not being as stable market to broadcast to because of the so many choices and so many things that's out there, and maybe seeing an older market as one that they can tune into that will be reliant each and every week.
And that's usually what CBS usually goes for. And that's probably not a good thing in the streaming era per se, but we don't know the long-term prospects of it.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's actually some good thoughts as well. And again, I want to make sure that everybody knows out there, if you got the latest info, to get the latest info on the TV ratings scene, you just got to go to the TV ratings guide, because they've got great things to talk about and great things to discuss when it comes to the TV ratings scene. I want to ask you both one last question. And now that we've discussed all the major broadcasts out there, want to discuss anything else out there that you think is necessary to talk about when it comes to this time of year in the upfronts in regards to either cable or, like you said, Jessica, the streaming outlets that are out there, Hulu, CBS All Access, also as well, obviously Netflix. You've got the cable markets with TNT, USA, Sci-Fi, the whole nine yards. Out of curiosity, I'm going to start with you. What decisions you saw out there shows being canceled or picked up outside of the traditional broadcast networks? What shows do you think might appeal to you, or what shows were you hurt by seeing removed after this time? I know a lot of people are getting upset with The Expanse being canceled at Sci-Fi, but I know there's some others outside of that in the cable and streaming realm that you probably want to talk about as well.
Well, one thing I've noticed, I don't know if a lot of people have noticed this, but TNT has been on a roll. Like, Ever since their new president Kevin Riley stepped in, TNT and TBS have really started have not been pulling the punches with their dramas and comedies. A lot of them have been gaining a lot of critical acclaim and having some pretty good ratings. Although they did recently cancel one of their long-running shows, The Librarians, so that's a little. I guess that's a little sad.
Myself as well. My whole family enjoyed The Librarians, but I will say The Alienist was an excellent series. If you can find it, binge it, and I'm hopeful, even though they weren't even set up for sure for a second season, that they will actually get renewed.
I'll keep that in mind. It sounds like a nice show.
It is. It is. I highly recommend it. I actually put an article out there on popculturecosmos.wordpress.com and tvratingsguide.com on it as well. But were there any other shows out there, out of curiosity, that you feel, outside of the broadcast realm, were shows that either you were disheartened that were discontinued, like The Librarians, or that were, that you think people should look out for, that were picked up in regards to the streaming and cable markets?
Well, I'm sure a lot of people have heard this, but Lucifer got canceled by Fox, and that I used to watch it, and the third season was just lackluster. I quit in the third season, but a lot of people are very active about it, but it doesn't seem like any of the networks are really interested in. In fact, the CW themselves said they're not really interested because they already have 17 shows to deal with. So it's not a priority for them. And from what I understand, the producers are trying to ship it to cable or streaming. And I'm not too sure on its prospect because miracles rarely happen. Even though we recently had a massive miracle, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, my hopes for Lucifer are very slim. I don't know if Lucifer will make it.
I hear you on that one, but that's I've heard that show, as far as, at least like you said early on, had a nice following, and sorry to see that it did get discontinued for right now, and it may find a new life, but you never know. Indeed, Jessica, before we head on out, I want to hear your thoughts on, outside of the four major broadcast networks. I know a lot of CW talk is in route with you when it comes to that, when that is concerned. So, all right, but I want to hear some outside stuff as well. But I know you want to touch on CW because I know the TV Ratings Guide delves a lot into the CW scene. I've heard rumors that there's some CW shows that this group really likes out there. Okay, it's more than rumors. Okay, it's more than it's more than rumors, but go ahead, elaborate. CW, and then anything else out there outside of the four major broadcast networks. What were some surprises, and what were some of the interesting things that happened in the upfront season?
Well, the CW decided to end rather than cancel 3 shows, allow 3 shows to give their proper conclusions. iZombie, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, and Jane the Virgin.
I know Crazy Ex-Girlfriend might hit a soft spot for you on that, from what I remember.
Yeah. Crazy Ex-Girlfriend and Jane the Virgin were critical darlings, as they've garnered Golden Globes and whatnot. And iZombie was hybrid procedural for a DC show, but it's non-superhero. It deals with zombies. And the show was not getting good ratings this past season. And last season, it wasn't getting good ratings either. And so I thought it was going to get canceled when CW was picking up all those shows, like Legacies, Charmed, and whatnot, with the reboots. But it was renewed for a final season, and luckily CW is one of the best networks if you want to get a proper conclusion.
Any other shows out there that you saw that needed some love, or shows that you think are interesting in regards to some of the outside broadcast networks, TNT, Sci-Fi, USA, some of the decisions that were made on some of those shows, or some of the streaming things, the streaming outlets that might have picked up a show or two that is interest to you?
One show that got controversy last season was the cancellation of Sense8, and then, which was like a critical favorite among audiences, and then Netflix decided to bring it back for one last go around just to appease the fans. It was crazy. And one thing I was also really surprised, but not really surprised at the same time, is not CW, but USA canceled Falling Water yesterday after a low-rated run on Saturday nights. So that was the not surprising move. So, but what I'm most surprised about with TNT and USA and all the other cable networks, there's still no decision on Good Behavior, and whether if it's like a third abbreviated season or a movie miniseries type thing.
That show, I will tell you, has been given lots of love as far as commercials, as far as advertising, promotion, and it has not paid off with strong ratings throughout its entire lifetime. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's let go, but I understand that they've put a heavy investment into it. In fact, to me, it leads to the type of promotional outlook it had. Is something that we see now with Animal Kingdom and obviously some Nails and some other shows that they have on the network. Yeah, I just think that at this point in time, if Good Behavior does get the axe, then I won't be surprised on that. But I want to leave you with this. I want you to name one show only, that you are looking forward to, you are looking forward to, and you think everybody else should be looking forward to this upcoming season. I know I'm going to ask you again in September as we get closer to the fall premieres and whatnot, but I know that decision may change at that point in time. But as of right now, one show, whether it's a returning show or whether it's a show that's going to be picked up for the fall season, I'll start off with you out of curiosity. One show that you're looking forward to this fall season.
Oh man, this is a hard one. I mean, I'm a big TV fan, so amongst all the 5 networks, I have at least one show on every network. So this is gonna be a real toughie.
But there's got to be one.
Say, let's see. Okay, I'll go with Speechless. First off, I'm very happy it got renewed. The moment I saw Mini Driver's tweet saying 22 episodes, season 3, yay! I was so happy. And I've been watching this show from the beginning. I've seen that show grow from being something mediocre to truly being a loving family comedy. And I am really excited to see where the show goes in the 3rd season.
Awesome indeed. A great choice there. And Jessica, I know we can't say a certain show that you loved for so many years, Nashville, but I know that's one show we can no longer say that's a show you're looking forward to. But if there is one show out there, one show that you are looking forward to at this point in time for the fall season, what would that be?
Dynasty.
Is that your new Nashville?
Yeah, Dynasty and its ratings. Does Alexis save the show or whatnot?
Oh, you just gave me flashbacks to the early 80s. I'm just going to tell you that right now. It just tells me, it's almost like it's 1983 revisited, but I will say that when you say the stuff like that. So it's so weird how things come around again like that. Now we've got Magnum PI, Murphy Brown, Roseanne, Will and Grace, MacGyver. It's so
Deja vu.
weird how all these shows are being brought back and are now being populated on our broadcast networks at this point in time. But hey, what old is new again. But I will say this, it's been great having you on the show. Once again, it is Jessica Boggs, and out of curiosity from the TV Ratings Guide. You got to check out the TVRatingsGuide.com today for all the latest news and information on the TV rating scene, plus reviews, articles, in-depth analysis, renew cancel indexes, original scripts and programming from the TV Ratings Guide. You got to check it out today. There's no excuse. TVRatingsGuide.com for the latest news and information on the TV ratings world. Out of curiosity, Jessica, it's been so great having you part of the show as always. And again, I would like to have you back on for the fall premieres. Cannot wait to talk more television with you. And as always, just great having you a part of the pop culture cosmos.